Right, now let's look at the brown bear. Now here we've got a classic three-quarter view of an animal, and by three-quarter view all that we mean is it's not quite side on, but it's not quite full on. It's sort of on an angle, 3/4 of the way round towards the side, but not fully one way or the other. What's quite a useful little device and dead easy to make is a piece of stiff wire. This is a piece of electrical cable. It's copper wire with a plastic sheath on it, and you can see it's quite rigid, quite stiff. I've just folded it over, and what you can do is you can close it up or open it out to get measurements, and then just test the measurement out against the rest of the animal. Now in this case, if we test it out, if we opened it up to the tip of the bear's nose to a line roughly equivalent to the top of its ears, let's have a look, roughly like that, and I estimate roughly, we're not talking about slide rule here. It's also pretty well the same as the front leg and the back leg to where they actually meet the body, and also not far away from the full depth of the body itself. Once you've got used to drawing and painting animals, you won't need this sort of device, but it's a great little tool to use while you're learning. So whatever size you draw your head, and we'll draw it considerably smaller, we'll draw it as a square like that just to get us going. Then what we also know is that two squares of the same size, and I'll put one there like that because the body of the animal is on an angle. We can add a triangle here, which will give us the very strong upper part of the bear's shoulder, if you like. And we can also now add just a couple of oblongs the same length as these boxes here. Now you can see how we're starting already, having got the proportions right, to adjust the shape of the bear, the outline, the realistic outline if you like. Right, from here on in the procedure is pretty well the same as we used for the lion. Now here I'm using a pale wash of burnt umber to get a base coat on the bear. And as that's dried off, I've added a stronger mix of light red to the burnt umber, and that gives a nice streaky effect on the bear's coat and a semblance of wind-blown fur. And next up, some darker burnt umber with touches of ultramarine to give us some shadows and modelling of the bear's shape. Now I've added the eyes with a darker mix of that shadow colour. But the next up, do you see how I'm using a strong mix of light red, and do you see the way I'm flattening and splaying the brush hairs like that? Now by taking the excess paint off on the paper towel, do you see how it gives me a nice raggedy edge on the bear's coat? We're nearly there. Pale ultramarine and light red for the first layer on the rocks, nice and rough. Then the same again but darker once it's dried for the shadows, and then the same again but more blue added for the shadow underneath the bear. Finally just a little bit of raw sienna and ultramarine touched in for a bit of greenery. And there we've got the bear climbing across some rocks and some sort of fairly barren landscape in search of his next meal. So there's the brown bear.